Welcome to Idea Tennis, where we challenge ideas, elevate thinking, and serve up conversation that make you question everything.
Video shows you what a person looks like, but audio shows you what a person feels like.
Know your habits, know the things that drive you crazy, know the things that drains you, know the things that uplift you, energize you, motivate you. If you know those things, then you really know yourself, because I want to be in control of my mindset. Over to you.
Controlling your emotions is a superpower. It's not something that everyone has the ability to do. Emotions impact how a person feels about something, impacts almost every aspect of decision making that an individual has. I tell people all the time, in business, there is no room for feelings.
Today we get to have a conversation about audio and video. And this idea came up because me and Jess have different brains. And we bought to play those two brains out for you guys today. But it's all about audio and video and which one of these platforms works better for you. And for me, Jess, audio works better for me. And I had this crazy thing, right? I asked myself, if I had to lose any one of my five senses, which one would I give up first? And it's interesting, if we would give up your eyes versus your hearing. Like if you had to give up one of those two, which one would it be? For me personally, I thought about my eyes because I love my earrings so much. But I don't know. What about you, Jess? If you had to give one up, which one would you give up?
So on this particular thing, or which would I give up, vision or hearing?
Yes, vision or hearing.
I'm going to say we're both on the same page. I would give up vision.
You would give up vision too?
You know why? Because if I have all of my other senses where I can hear and I can touch, and you don't need actual vision to visualize something. So I would say I would give up vision and keep my hearing.
And here,
I was going to say, not everyone agrees with that.
No, not at all. I mean, ultimately, nobody wants to give up any one of their five sense perception, right?
Of course.
But if we had to choose one, which one would it be? And I had one of my on my other podcasts, I had a guy on there. He pretty much I was almost blind, but he has very blurred vision. And he was telling me he ran a marathon with his blurred vision. And he was telling me how, he stopped riding bike because he just couldn't really measure the distance once he don't have the sight. But the riding, the running and stuff, you can feel that the runners, how you can get it from running. But it made me think about living in a world where I can't see. And because, I think Myron Golden, I used to say that you don't see with your eyes, see with your mind, right? And that makes sense because we create the image making happens in your head. And the reason why we're talking about audio and video right now, because I think, this is my perspective only, I think that a lot of people, because when they watch a lot of video stuff, it really numbs you out. It really dulls out your image making capacity. You don't imagine a lot of things. When I read a lot of books or I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks, like I'm just creating ideas in my head. My brain get to go to work. But if my brain is fed all that stuff image already, it gets lazy. And oftentimes, does you imagine yourself like watching TV or watching any kind of video, you sit there passively watching it. But when I'm listening to something, I'll be on the move, I'll be doing stuff, my brain is working. So my brain is not getting lazy. So that's my take on it. So I'm curious to know what are your perception on that?
So today's debate, mic or camera? First, I'm going to say people learn in different ways. I am a visual learner. I feed off of people's energy. I want to see them. I want to catch their vibe. I love video. I love video. Some people feel that video, like you just said, is boring because you're just sitting there watching the video. That's some people, but I'm not talking about like when you're watching a movie or you're watching a television show. Maybe like you're watching a podcast. For us and the analytics behind our podcast, we actually have more video watchers, more people that get access to our content on YouTube than on the audio. I think that's because they want to feel our energy. They want to see us. They want to see the liveliness in our conversation. I watch podcasts and I write notes sometimes. I get sparks of creativity, seeing what other people are doing when we talk about the different ways people learn. So I was doing research for this conversation. And one of the things that I found, and I was like, this is so true. And it's definitely me and Asher. So I'm a visual learner. So I like video.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't limit me only to doing one thing, just so you know, because I'm a multitasker. But people that are neurodivergent, like people that have ADHD, ADD, they like audio because it allows them to multitask. They can listen and walk like you, right? They
Mm-hmm.
can listen and do other things. But how much are you actually learning if you're busy doing three other things and listening?
Let me answer that question.
Yes.
And it took me a while to learn this about myself, by the way. I think it was Einstein that says when he was working on the idea of relativity, think about it for like 10 years straight, like a whole decade, right? He was thinking through it. But he said he used to listen to Mozart music, and that would like kind of quiet down the music side of his brain so it can activate the other creative thinking side of his brain. But when I was listening to, I think I was reading a book that was talking about that. But when I was thinking about it, I was like, oh, that makes sense because when I am thinking, if I don't have some kind of, I like the opera music or the cinematic music. I like music without no words sometimes. And what that does for me is it makes me don't wonder because my brain will wander off. But if I have it wander into the music, then I can think about the idea and I go really deep. But if I don't have something else to occupy that side of my brain, or like maybe the creative side of my brain don't get to think. But if I have something occupy the other side of my brain, I can go deeper. And when I realized, I was like, oh my God, that's so me. Because even when I'm studying, when I used to study, I used to like have music in the background playing because it helped me focus on the thing I'm working on. Because my brain will wander. But the wandering gets diffused by me putting into something else. So I deliberately listen to music or I listen to a book or I listen to a podcast while I'm working on something. And I'm not listening too deep, but I'm hearing it, but I can focus on the other thing. If not, my mind would start chasing other things. But I shut it down that way. If that makes sense to you.
It does, but not everyone's brain works like that. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's true.
I cannot, if I'm watching a podcast
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of things happening in the background, I lose focus. I lose focus.
Mm-hmm.
I almost start to get angry and annoyed that I can't focus in on the podcast. Video gives the audience a visual picture of what we look like, right? Video
Mm-hmm.
shows you what a person looks like, but audio shows you what a person feels like. And so, yes, there are pros and cons of both the mic and the camera, and everyone has a different type of preference. But I'm going to like plant the seed in your brain of are you or were you ever a big radio listener?
Yes. Well, because I mean, in the Caribbean, that's all we had at one point is a lot of radio.
Yeah.
And the old school people do. You're right, right? Because old school people still love the audio podcast version. They love the radio thing because I guess back then you lose to get a lot done. Like you're a farmer on the farm, you can listen to your radio while you work. I mean, I think the audio thing keeps me doing a lot more things at one time versus me sitting there just looking at something. I'm like, all right, I gotta do something. Like the body gotta move. So maybe that's something that triggers for me with the video versus the audio.
I remember when I was younger, I listened to the radio a lot.
Mm-hmm.
before there were before there was social media, before, and I used to remember trying to visualize what the DJ looked
Uh-huh.
like
Mm-hmm.
based on what they sounded like. And someone's radio voice personality could be complete polar opposite to what they look like physically.
True,
So
true.
I would always be intrigued. And whenever the opportunity availed and I somehow came across maybe someone was I'm really dating myself now, like in a magazine or on a TV show, and I saw, I'm like, oh, wow, that's not what I imagined that person looked like.
Mm-hmm.
Does that impact now how you take in the information from the person that you visualize to be one way, but actually in real life is completely different?
But here's the thing that I love this, by the way, because I like living by my own imagination. Because sometimes what you're saying right now is that when we see the person, we start judging on the whole another level, right? And then we stop listening and believing in our own imagination because now we're thinking about that person. That person might not be looking as, superhero like we thought they were. But then you see him and like, oh man, no, like, the saying that you don't want to meet the hero because sometimes you meet the hero, you're kind of disappointed. But sometimes that happens when you listen to somebody on the radio and then you meet them in person, like, wait a minute, it's not the same person. So the power of the voice matters. But I'm a big fan of listening. because my imagination needs it. If I keep watching all the videos, I'm not getting creative anymore because you're already feeding me too much information. So I like to think about it on my own. That's why I don't read fiction books. That's why I don't read fiction books, because they feed you everything line by line, line by line, right? But when I listen to like personal development book or stuff on that level, it causes me to think more, and then I kind of bring my imagination to life.
Some people would say that video is oversaturated,
Mm-hmm.
but it does exactly what you just said. It's expressive and engaging. It captivates an audience on a different level than audio, because while audio is a powerful tool, it also builds trust. You don't need to physically see the person behind the voice in order to feel a connection always. It's a deep feeling of connection, especially when you hear the same voice. So, for example, if I'm listening to a coach and I've never seen that coach before, let's say Myron Golden.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he has a great voice when he
Mm-hmm.
speaks. I am connected to him. It's almost like he's building a sense of trust with me being his listener. I'm consuming his information different. I'm not distracted by the visual. I'm not distracted by any of the background because it's just his voice, me, and the content. Some people love that part. I love the style of seeing his expression
Mm-hmm.
when he's speaking. I want to see, when is he standing up from his chair in the middle of speaking? Why? Because that lets me know, yes, there's a change in his voice and his tone, anyone's voice or tone when they stand up, let's say, in excitement or in rage, or you feel that based on the sound of their voice. But to see it is different.
So you were a big fan of the physiology. I mean, because I think it was Tony Robbins that said you got to model the physiology, the syntax, and the mindset, so forth and so on, and that kind of helps you really, see what that person really digests the thing that they're doing. And I like Myron Golden because sometimes he has those. His physiology matches some of his way of expressing things. Even like I'm a fan of Tony Robbins too, the way he expressed stuff
Yes.
physically, and then the way his syntax, where he put words together, and then his mindset around certain things. So I always take away those things from when I'm listening to people. I like my biggest hero is Earl Nightingale, right? We don't have a lot of video of him. We have a lot of audio of him. And one of my other big fan is Dan Sullivan too. But Earl Nightingale did a lot of radio. It was one of the famous guy on radio back in the day. But I love just to listen to him because he makes me think. And anybody that makes Asher think, I'm in the room with you. So I like to create my own ideas from thinking and dreaming about other things. But if I'm seeing all the videos all the time, it just really numb me. That's why I don't really watch a lot of TV sometimes. I'm like, yeah, I get bored. Like my energy just get drains out. But if I'm listening to something for a while, I start taking notes, start writing things out. I'm start calculating ideas because my brain's starting to work. My image making machine is activated. But if your imagination is already taken up by the visual, then your brain is not working. That's just my thing. The brain is not working sharpened up because you got all the images now. So what is left for you to create?
You in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you create. You visualize yourself being in that space, in that whatever it is, that movie, that show, that
Mm.
environment. You just answered my question, my next question to you, which was, and it's a question really for the audience, what drains you versus what fuels you?
Too much images drains me.
Too much images drain you. I mean,
Yeah, especially if it's like the vicarious trauma or the whole bunch of like just things I know it's like nature doesn't operate that way. So when I watch a lot of movies, I'm like, it's just too much. So I gotta go out there and see nature, or nature operates on a more natural level, more authentic level, right? No more normal level. So when I see a lot of that stuff in movies, I'm like, I'm tired of that stuff. Like I can't watch too much of that. Because sometimes I will binge something, and once I'm done, I'm done. Like, that's just me how I work or operate. I get it all in and I'm done. But I rather audio because I listen with my ears. I can hear really good. When I'm listening to people, I can tell a lot by just listening. So somebody see me sitting here just listening, because I'm all up in you, man. Right? So because I'm hearing you. If you're speaking or I'm listening, I can tell a lot about the person when I'm listening to them versus me just looking at them. So I trust my ears more. That's my point. I trust my ears more.
I trust my energy more. But
Mm.
connecting this conversation to our audience who are entrepreneurs, mindset, growth people. I think it's an interesting conversation, especially because I think I've shared in the past that one of my kryptonites in life is to create live content. Not live like this, but live content on my own. As a content creator, like going on Facebook Live or Instagram Live, or just creating content, and there's no people or energy on the other side to feed me. And so when that happens, I get, I guess you could say, stuck on stupid. I start to stutter. I get in my head. I start to think what I'm saying. There's no energy. I sound like the HR lady. Somebody said that I sounded, I think it was like the Siri version of Jess, right? Almost like automated machine like. I didn't come to life. But if somebody were to give me the same script and not ask me to create a live video content or pre-recorded or any kind of video content, but instead to create an audio, I wouldn't have a problem with that. So me, the person who's visual, who likes to see other people, if you gave me a choice of what content do I like to create personally versus what I like to consume, I like to create, I would say, more audio, because I'm not in my head. I'm not so focused in on the energy, the people. I'm focused more in on the message. So isn't that like a weird thing?
No, this made the conversation even more interesting because now you're saying that your preference is to create audio, but you consume videos, and you're asking entrepreneurs to figure out their stuff. So now Jess should create more audio and consume videos. So if you gotta produce something, now you focus on producing audio because it's the easiest thing for you to do. Just like I was thinking, you was asking how do we tie this to entrepreneur, and first you gotta like know yourself, and that word or that phrase "know yourself" comes in a lot of ways, but it's really know your habits, know the things that drive you crazy, know the things that drains you, know the things that uplift you, energize you, motivate you. If you know those things, then you really know yourself. Because I had to figure out how Asher brain works. It took me a long time to figure that out. It's taken me a really long time. And I had to go back and like, Asher brain works. This is how it works. So now I can go in the world and do the thing that my brain loves to do. Because if not, it's gonna fight you. And if you're gonna reverse any kind of like bad habits, so forth, you gotta be very obsessed to do it. Because obsession, that's how you rewire your brain with certain kind of obsession. Like when I decided I'm gonna read a lot of books, I gotta get obsessed about it. It's not my brain gonna fight me. And like, Asher, you don't like this, Asher. Why are you trying to do it? So when you come back to yourself, as far as being an entrepreneur, you gotta know yourself, figure out what you're natural at and what drives you crazy, what doesn't drive you crazy, what energizes you. If you know those things, then you can start functioning in that area. So now you know that making videos drive you crazy, Jess, but making audio doesn't. So then maybe audio is your solution until you get enough confidence to do a video. That's my response.
Don't get it twisted, Asher. It's not confidence. It is not confidence.
Wait. It is confidence, Jess, because when you do it, you're not gonna do it like your natural self. You're gonna see yourself like, man, I could have done better than that if I had an audience. So I'm saying your confidence.
I struggle when someone gives me like a script
to follow.
That's where I start to get in my head. If
Me too.
somebody gives me, give me the mic and turn on the camera, I'm going to be honest, I'll start off slow until something inside me, almost like a light switch, turns on, and then I'll go. But the idea of, and this conversation started for us, me and you, outside of the podcast, when we were talking about Facebook Lives. I have such a hard time. I really have such a hard time. I have a hard time because it is psychological. It is maybe a little confidence. I don't know. But the idea of while you're recording live, no one is looking and engaging. And you're on a platform that's meant for engagement. So like, how do you have a conversation when no one's talking back?
It's all about how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself. How
It's
do you
all
feel? How do you feel? It's all about how you feel about yourself when you're by yourself. Just and so sometimes when you're by yourself and nobody's listening, like what do you think about yourself? Like, wait a minute, I can't do this. I need an audience. And some people are different. Some people scared of the audience, and you're like, I need an audience. So this is like this reverse thing here. It's crazy because you put somebody on stage with the audience, they go crazy, lose their mind. Like people don't
Yep.
want to do public speaking, but you're saying I need an audience because I come alive in that space. No audience, I'm like, what's going on here?
It's true. It's like no audience and you can like hear the crickets. It's like in my brain, like that's what's happening. It's like you hear the crickets and it's like, all right,
Mm-hmm.
where are the people? What do they want to know? What are we talking about today? So what I try to do, because I can't follow scripts, that I'm just
Mm-hmm.
not good at it. And nor do I really want to ever follow a script.
Mm-hmm.
But I
If you
started,
if you get into politics, you have to.
that's why I won't be a politician. So I started creating like speaking points,
Mm.
kind of like bullet points of things topics to speak about during my lives. And then the other thing that I did, which for me then made the creating the content and the video so much easier, whether or not someone was watching or not, was doing something while I was creating the video. In my case, I was putting on makeup.
Mm.
I was about to do a business presentation like an hour later. And so I used that time, that 1 hour before, to put my makeup on live. At the very least, the default conversation would always go back to the makeup. But what happened, I don't know how it happened, but what happened was because I was distracted with putting on the makeup, the conversation just flowed. Whether the people were there or not, the conversation just flowed. I was able to speak about things. And yeah, maybe it was all over the place, but it was real and it was engaging and it got a lot of people to watch and respond.
I'm gonna say you just made another point for me earlier when I said I had to put music on for the Einstein concept, where it's like put the music on for the music side of your brain and you think. So that's what I have to do to distract myself. It's deliberate distraction where I create something else while I'm doing something else. So sometimes we say multitasking doesn't work, but sometimes your brain needs something more than one thing to do for you to focus on the thing you need to focus on. So for me to think without chasing rabbits all day, right? I had to put on some kind of music, some kind of thing that's playing to distract one side of my brain while the other side do the work. You're saying that for you to stay focused and do something you don't like doing, you gotta start putting on makeup while you talk about the thing. So in the end, your brain needs some kind of distraction to focus on the thing that you really want to focus on. And if you know how to do it, then you can always overcome a lot of things that you're scared of because you do something that your brain, the part of your brain that's gonna talk about all the fear talking in your head, you give it something else to do. That's what I do when I'm thinking deep. I give my brain that's gonna talk me out of what I'm doing to focus on something else so I can focus on this other thing. And that's what you're doing.
I think a lot of people can relate to
Mm.
doing what I do and what you do in different ways, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
listen to audio. Listen, growing up in a Puerto Rican household, Saturday mornings, like an ungodly hour, the music was blasting because everyone knew that it was time to clean the house. It was like the motivator. It was the distraction that you're actually cleaning the house because the music was on and you were having an enjoyable time, even though you weren't because you were cleaning. And so, for a lot of people, it's like that. You need something to serve as the good distraction to allow you to be able to focus on what it is that you're doing. There is a right or wrong in terms of the mic versus the camera. I think
Mm-hmm.
what people need to do is just do something. Don't get focused in on what they can't do, but focus in on how can I, whether it's consume content or create content, get to where I want to be with the resources that are out in the world available to me. That because we are all students of the University of the Universe,
Mm-hmm.
tapping into all the things we have access to. So whether it is a video, whether it is an audio, whether it is self-help, entrepreneurial, learning a new skill set, being able to consume the content in a way that's going to serve us and help us get us closer to where we see our goals and the direction of our life moving, that's ultimately what we should all be focused on. Now, you choose what you like, whether it's to create or consume, whether it's video or audio, but consuming and creating are the ways that we evolve and grow.
Mm. You have me think about something else here too. And there's always going to be a voice that's trying to talk you out of what you're doing. And my solution for that is to give that something to occupy that voice in my head that want to talk me out of things. So when I give it something to listen to, it doesn't talk me out of the things I'm doing. And I get a lot done. So if you're a person out there and you know your voice that they're going to talk you out of doing that next thing, taking that next risk, starting that business, do whatever you want to do, you got to figure out when you got to think about that plan and that voice going to say, oh, don't do that, Asher, blah, blah. No, you find something to occupy that voice. And that was my secret. So I read and listen to a lot of books because I got to occupy the side of my brain, give it something to listen to while I think on the things I want to pursue. That's my solution. What about you? What is your solution?
People need to figure out which they align with more.
Mm-hmm.
The energy, the consistency, the visual part. There are some things that are better off in audio versus video.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's we're consuming it or creating it. So for example, the best things in video are like tutorials and product demonstrations and learning how to do something physical or tangible. When we're talking about creating a brand and a persona and body language and presence and energy, that's all done best in video. When we're talking about things like banter and comedic timing and entertainment and those things are best, again, visual. But when you're talking about learning from educational content, when you are talking about things like meditation and motivation and affirmations, those things like deep dive interviews or storytelling narratives or even like self help, those things, in my opinion, are best in audio because it allows for the deep reflection. It allows
Mm-hmm.
for you to not have the distraction. Think about, okay, when you're trying to meditate,
Mm-hmm.
how distracting is it if you're watching a video to meditate versus listening to an audio to meditate?
Mm-hmm.
Is it the same outcome? In my opinion, no, because I keep looking at the screen. Even if I'm closing my eyes, every few minutes I'm looking at the screen. But when I'm listening to an audio to meditate, I'm almost immersed and lost, and time is not a factor. The only factor is the focus on me meditating.
Mm-hmm.
So there are things that are best in audio versus best in video, but I'm going to come back again with the same thing. The only thing that matters is, are you consuming and creating?
Mm. And I will add you, it depends. Like you're right. You said this earlier that some of us learn differently. Some learn with visual versus audio. You gotta see somebody physically do it. You gotta demonstrate, walk you through it. So sometimes you need to see somebody do something completely. And for me, sometimes when I'm creating something, especially if it has to do with image, if I see you do it, I can do it.
Yes.
And that always been my superpower. I just want to see somebody do it one time. Turn on my mind. I'm like, yeah, I can figure that out too. And sometimes we like that imagination ourselves because you just don't have it. Like I'm not a painter. I'm not an artist, but I create good images in my head. No, to get that all out of my head is a different story. That's why I use words to get stuff out of my head. Because here's the thing with the image making mindset people. It's like they go from feelings to image. Like to think you need words. You can't think without words, but you can imagine without words. Because you imagine with your feelings and you create an image in your head. So sometimes if you don't speak a language, you can still be creative because you're a person that use image making to kind of like translate what you're experiencing. But because I'm a person, I like to think. I'm a deep thinker, just I'm a thinker. I need more language. I need more words. So I dig into the place that I find most of my treasure land, which is words. Some people, if you like image, you're going like, oh, I gotta see the image. We are different. We learn differently. But Ashley learns by listening and Ashley learns by hearing things. Visual works too sometimes.
I was about to say, Asher, you also need to see how things, and I'll give an example.
Wait. I'm gonna
Okay.
add something here. Cause you just something else showed up for me just now. This is the reason why I don't care about aesthetics. Because I'm not an image person, I'm a listener. And you are like, I gotta see it. So therefore, if it doesn't look great, just like in my head, that's one place it looks great. But you're saying that, boom, you gotta create the image. Anyway, back to you. I just want to point that out.
But there are some things, first impressions matter, Asher. That's
Mm-hmm.
why aesthetics matter. But think of, so from a visualization,
Mm-hmm.
think of chaos versus calm. If you visually see chaos, you feel a certain kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
If you visualize and see a calm environment or setting, scenario, you feel a different kind of way. Aesthetics matter.
I'm gonna break through right here with you, don't Jess. So here is the thing. The reason why I don't get emotionally ambushed because I avoid certain visual. Because because I realize that the visual affects your energy, emotion faster than sound. Because in my mind, if I hear some kind of sound, I gotta create an image in my head for myself. What that's gonna look like, if it's gonna scare you or not. But if somebody's already feeding you all out of visual and it's scary and it's horrible, instantly it goes to your energy feed, it goes to your energy, it goes to your emotion. It doesn't translate into words for you, it goes to feeling straight right away. That's why they're saying, right, I think a picture word worth 1,000 words, and but a video word 10,000 words, something like that, whatever, right? But they're saying image make a difference because if you see the image, it goes very fast to your emotional space, and that's the place people trying to get to all the time. Get to your emotion, get to your emotion. They can control you.
Yes. Not only can they control you, they control your dollar, they control your actions. Visualization really, when you think about, even from a marketing perspective,
Mm-hmm.
like the purpose of commercials, the purpose of commercials, a video of a commercial and an audio of a commercial feel and create different feelings. Even if you used, for example, the visual of a toilet paper commercial,
Mm-hmm.
you seeing the actual toilet paper commercial and seeing maybe a mom wiping her baby's rear end, and it's soft and the baby's giggling, and right, you're visualizing the toilet paper soft, you automatically assume that soft equals good quality, that you have the same exact commercial on the radio without the visualization.
Mm-hmm.
Which commercial do you think is going to sell more of the toilet paper?
The one people see,
Of course.
because monkey see, monkey do. When people see stuff, they easy influence to do it. That's what that. But it comes back to me trying to kind of control my mind, because at the end of the day, right, I want to control what's in here. And the more images I see that are disrupting my energy or ambushing my energy, people get to influence you a lot more with the visuals. So that's why I transition from watching the news, watching a lot of TV, because I see what they're doing. It's the fastest way to get to your mind and your emotions. And if somebody can rally emotion, they can really control you. So I say for people to have less control over my mind, I say I'm going into books, right? I'm going into audio, because there I have more control of my image making machine. Because at the end of the day, right, what scares you the most is the image in your mind. And the image in your mind affects how you feel. And we're one thing we're afraid of how things make us feel. That's the biggest fear in the world, how things make you feel. You're afraid of your feelings. And because I'm afraid of my feelings, I'll make sure I control that by the kind of visuals I see and the kind of visuals that I act on. Because I want to be in control of my mindset. Over to you.
Controlling your emotions is a superpower.
Mm,
It's not something that everyone has the ability to do. Emotions impact how a person feels about something, impacts almost every aspect of decision making
mm-hmm,
that an individual has. I tell people all the time, in business, there is no room for feelings. Feelings are temporary. They are easily influenced and manipulated. But the decisions and the choices you make when you have those feelings are lasting. And so when you think about the feelings that resonate when you visually see something. It could be said the same thing about when you hear something. It's more important to figure out what is it that I need to hear or see to help me get to where I want to go, whether it's creating it or consuming it, but being able to realize that how I feel in any given moment about whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
not going to be the deciding factor in a decision, whether it's personal, whether it's professional, whether, so last night we had a community meeting, a community coaching session, and one of the one of the people in the question, and I know she listens to the podcast, I'm not going to say her name, but she said that she did something 5 times and
Mm-hmm.
she did it her way. She did it in a way that felt comfortable. Right. The action wasn't comfortable, but she did it the way she felt she could do it. So she got a no the 5 times she did it. And then we had a conversation and I gave her some coaching. And then she decided that because of the information she consumed, that she was going to go out and create a different scenario. And she was going to do something different. Perhaps it was the idea that she was comfortable being uncomfortable that gave her the courage to be able to go out and do the different thing. So she went to number 6, and number 6 was a yes, a positive response, something different, right? So when we talk about the emotion of it, she had a choice at the time to be stuck in the emotion of the rejection and the no, the 5 no's that she received, or decide that the rejection and the 5 no's that she received weren't going to determine what she did next. That she was in control of that because she was in control of her emotions. She was in control of whether or not she decided to allow the rejection or the disappointment to stop her in her tracks, or if she was going to allow the disappointment and the rejection to fuel her to go for more. And she decided to do something different so she could have a different result. I was incredibly proud of her. Doing something different is scary for people. It's scary for me, but it's the only way that you're able to reach out and get to where you want to go in spite of all the things that happen along the way to success.
Hmm. I say congratulations to that awesome lady, and thank you for listening to the podcast as well. And you're right. I think I forget who said it, but it was saying that 90% of the decisions we make them in that moment, how we feel in that moment, right? So if you're thinking about how you feel in that moment, that's when you make the decision. And oftentimes, that's why I go back to the long-term planning. Because if 90% of your decisions made in the moment, in the space of where you feel in that moment, if I said I'm gonna do 100, I'm gonna reach to 100 people, I get to number 5 and I feel differently. I cannot make my decision to go further based on that feeling there. I gotta go back to how I felt before I started. And so sometimes when we come back to commitment piece, because I'm committed, I'm gonna do 100. It doesn't matter how I feel going through from 1 step to 100 step. I'm gonna finish those steps. And I learned that lesson, my friend, because I realized that on your way to the thing, you're gonna feel a whole bunch of emotions, and they are not the emotion you make a decision based on. You make a decision based on when you started, what you say you was gonna do, you commit to, and
Yeah,
that's change. That's a game changer.
they don't serve you. Feelings do not serve you. When we're talking about idea tennis right now, the S, the feelings do not serve you,
Mm-hmm.
because when you make decisions from the emotion of the low or even the emotion of the high,
Mm-hmm.
well, what's to say that then the next emotion doesn't, alter that decision that you already made? It's about being able to make decisions and choices not based on emotions, based on facts, based on abilities, based on, we all know there are things we can control and things we can't control. And all of those things play into our decision making. But ultimately, when you do something, whether it's make a decision, create a choice? Is it aligned with where you want to go in terms of your goals and things you have set out for yourself? Is it aligned with your morals, ethics, and values? Is it aligned with, when I think of, is it aligned with service, right? Service to others. Is it aligned with that?
Yes. All right, Jess. We've been having this really, really good conversation today about, I actually talked about some of my challenges with my brain. And once I understand how my brain works, it makes me appreciate video and audio differently. Because, I didn't understand that I learned faster by listening. And most of my life, I was pigeonhole myself into like reading the stuff, looking at images, whatever, and it didn't work because I didn't understand that my dyslexic version of my brain doesn't like that kind of stuff. And what I love was audio because I always enjoy sitting and watching and listening to somebody talk. And I enjoy that process, and I learn a lot about people just by listening. But when I was trying to learn visually by certain things, it was frustrating because if I got to read it somewhere in a certain kind of design, it didn't work for my brain. But when I listen to somebody speak it out or I see them demonstrate it, it works sometimes. But my point is this: you got to understand your brain, got to understand how your brain learn, and the fastest way for you to digest information. I can go through a lot of books very fast.
Yes.
Because my brain is used to listening. And when I stop sitting down and reading for too long, I realize I can get more content in my brain because at the end of the day is because I think we all think with words. The more you can kind of download words in your brain, the faster you start to be able to think about ideas. And I was able to grasp a lot of complicated concept now because I find ideas to download in my brain. My brain used to the information now. I can put it out there. I can think about stuff longer or deeper because I have the words to think about it. What are your thoughts?
The question really is to the audience, and this is going to be a fun challenge for the week. The goal is consume and create content. Whether it's audio or visual, it doesn't really matter. It's consume or create. Whether you are learning and growing or you are being of service and providing something to someone, whether it's edutainment or professional, being able to consume and create should be the goal. Now, for the challenge for the week, for the audience is, are you, and we're going to hashtag this, team audio or hashtag team video? Screenshot this episode, whether you are watching it on video or you are listening to it on audio, and tag us on social media: Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. You guys know our names, you know how to find us. But let's settle this debate: team video or team audio?
Oh, I like this, by the way. This gonna be fun. Team video audio. I would love to actually discover who are like they're your dominant side to understand those people too. Because when we come together, we can move faster because we understand how our brain works. And if I have something that, hey, I'm better off delivered to you in audio, I know that you just want audio. So if I'm creating something for you, I make it audio because you like audio. Or I need to make it video because you like them. And even though video covers both, but sometimes my point is I want a video piece. Sometimes people sit down with videos and they don't move. And life is about being in motion. If you're not motion, if you're not moving, then guess what? The universe is not working in your favor, my friend. So you gotta get moving. What is the biggest takeaway, Jess, before we wrap up?
Consume or create.
Consume or create?
Yep. Consume
All
or
right.
create. That's
All
the
right, tag
only,
us.
there's no right or wrong. That's the only question. Consume or create.
All right, with that, folks, make it an utterly fantastic day.